Before it was by the sword. Now it's getting themselves into parliament and then making laws that act as the sword, the Islamophobia law in Canada, M103.
Yeah.
Muslim Brotherhood.
I find that there are only two things which are open to our movements. Ballot or bullet, nothing in between.
I used to say that democracy is haram. Now I say participation in democracy is our jihad. That's our jihad. We're going to fight not through the bullets but the ballot.
Going to the ballot and voting is now an obligatory action, fard ayn. And it is a jihad that is now needs to be done because this is our modern jihad. You can elect a person who wants the Sharia.
Because in the United States, what we do know is that in the past election, just this last election, there have been over 800 Muslim candidates running for office.
We may end up with about 50 members of Congress in the next 6 years. That's really the essence of dismantling the system of injustice, is to replace it with the people who represent the Prophet ﷺ.
Islam itself is not really a religion per se, because Sharia is not a religion. Sharia is an issue of laws. You know, Faisal Abdul Rauf, the man behind the Ground Zero Mosque, you know, he says America must become Sharia compliant. What's that all about? Yeah. So, you know, the West needs to begin to understand that we're not dealing with an issue of religion. We're dealing with the promoters of Sharia. That's who the enemy is.
Sharia supremacist enterprise.
Islam historically was actually the religion of a ruling elite minority over often majorities of non-Muslim Din.
They would like to implement it.
Our job is to change the Constitution of America.
Present what we as Muslims want to implement here in the United States. We believe the Constitution should be replaced by the Quran.
First move that I will do, I will abolish the Constitution and I will establish the only logical and rational constitution, which is the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah.
Disgusting case, well, one of the most disgusting cases I've seen in recent days, weeks, whatever. A man called Sadek Niksad, 29, raped a 15-year-old girl following her down the street in broad daylight in a town in Scotland, entered the UK illegally 2 years before the attack, from Afghanistan. He harassed her and then went and raped her in a courtyard. This is the man pictured. And we're not deporting him.
Well, no, he arrived on a small boat just a few years ago. At the court, he was shouting and screaming at the judge. But most extraordinarily, his counsel, acting for him on the taxpayer's pound, was saying that there were significant cultural differences between the UK and Afghanistan, where this asylum seeker came from. And that those cultural differences meant that he didn't understand that he shouldn't rape a 15-year-old girl.
Well, what do you reckon to that? Cultural barriers. Apparently this chap, he didn't know. He didn't know it was wrong to, you know, grab a girl off the street and rape her in broad daylight. No, didn't know. I can't speak the language very well. We have child marriage back where I'm from. Well, perhaps our government should pay a little more attention to the people who they're allowing to stay in this country, because this is someone who arrived illegally.
The most irritating thing about all of this is people, if they come across on a small boat from a country that doesn't have child marriage and that has a sort of Western idea of consent, well, they're going to be sent back to their country pretty darn quickly.
Yep.
Whereas if you come from a part of the world where the idea of consent doesn't even really exist.
No Me Too movement in Afghanistan.
If you come from one of those places, well, you're going to get indefinite leave to remain, aren't you? Because we can't send you back to the horrible place.
Every Hindu ritual begins with an invocation to Lord Ganesh, the remover of obstacles. And as Ganesh Utsav concludes on the 6th of September with prayers for wisdom and strength, this is not just the close of a festival. It is the opening of a new chapter in world history. On 13th September, English patriots prepared to paint Britain red. And on 27th September, the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, the RSS, completes 100 years by painting Bharat saffron. 2 nations, 2 colors, 1 theme. The global rise of right-wing nationalism against cultural invasion and ideological imposition. In this new era, Britain will no longer call itself the United Kingdom, and Bharat will no longer call itself India. Ganesh Utsav itself has deep patriotic roots. It was established by freedom fighter Lokmanya Tilak during the British Raj, when the Englishmen banned Hindus from gathering, worshipping, socializing, or even discussing national issues. Tilak used the festival to unite Hindus, to create strength, and to spark the flame of resistance. And today, ironically, this very festival is banned in parts of Mumbai's Aarey region by the Aarey milk factory under a British-like dictatorship. But here lies the paradox. The same Britain that once suppressed Indian patriots now suppresses its own patriots. The same English government that banned Indians from their traditions now prevents Englishmen themselves from celebrating their own culture, their own history, their own flags. On the 13th of September 2025, England braces for a protest that has already ignited fierce debate in political and social circles. The English Patriots, a far-right movement, are taking to the streets. Their demand is simple: recognition, justice, and the right to protect their national identity, to paint their country red. And standing in international support is criminologist Snehil Dhall, founder of Crimeophobia, a criminology firm. This documentary is presented by Mr. Dhall himself, a man who earned his honours degree in criminology in the United Kingdom, who established Crimeophobia there and who later shifted operations to Mumbai. His years of education and experience in England forged a deep conviction that patriots of every country, Hindu, Christian or Muslim, must be respected and honoured in their own land. For Mr. Dhall, the principle is simple. Every community should grow in its own country, strengthen its own roots, preserve its own traditions, not attempt to alter the faith, culture or identity of another nation. And his message is blunt. If someone seeks Sharia law, they should apply it in their own Islamic countries, not impose it upon patriots in nations like Britain or Bharat. But in Britain, the truth is darker. The English patriots cannot even utter the words Muslim or Islam. Doing so risks immediate arrest. Instead, they are forced to speak in code, but they call it fascism ideology instead of Sharia ideology. They speak of grooming gangs or rape gangs instead of love jihad. And many of these very criminals are housed in luxury hotels and apartments at the taxpayers' money. Just as Bharat's Hindu temple donations are forcefully redirected by the state to fund other religious groups, so too is the tax money of English patriots diverted to support fanatics who target English and Hindu girls alike. For Mr. Dhall, the cause of the English patriots is deeply personal. Educated in an English convent school, later shaped by his time among English patriots in England, he resonates with their struggle. And he offers a solution: the adoption of Hindu ideology through Vedic criminology, a philosophy rooted in discipline, in cultural protection, and in safeguarding indigenous identity from systematic erosion. The immediate spark of anger lies in Britain's luxury hotels and apartments, long criticized for hypocrisy and corruption. Crimeophobia had earlier exposed an identical criminal pattern in Mumbai's Aarey colony. There, the Royal Palms hotels were discovered to be the fronts for human and sex trafficking rackets, witnessed by over 500 girls from Jammu and Kashmir. And after Crimeophobia exposed this, that very site was controversially converted into CISF residences, apparently by the central government. Now, Britain mirrors the same playbook. Luxury hotels and apartments handed over to illegal immigrants, many accused of rape, theft, violent crime, even terrorism. For the public, the anger is no longer containable. With most of the mainstream media silent, Crimeophobia turned to the people themselves. Facebook posts, witness testimonies, digital evidence. This grassroots record became the backbone of the investigation, filling the void left by journalists unwilling or unable to confront the truth. And to Mr. Dhall, the English Patriots are the mirror of Bharat's Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, the National Patriots organization. Both movements fight the same battle, preserving cultural identity against systematic organized erosion. The parallels are chilling. In England and in India, vulnerable communities suffer. In both, criminal syndicates thrive under political protection. And in both, patriots rise to defend culture, to protect the weak, and to demand accountability. The English Patriot protest of 13th September 2025 is not just a local event. It is a global signal of resistance from the very capital of the Commonwealth, an echo of suppressed struggles across nations. It represents the voice of patriots who seek nothing more than this: the freedom to live in their own land, on their own terms, without cultural distortion, without political manipulation. As Crimeophobia continues to expose these networks, its message is unflinching. Systematic corruption cannot be fought in silence. Only through united resistance, investigative truth, and relentless pursuit of justice can these patterns be broken. This is not just about Britain. This is not just about India. This is about the global fight of patriots, the so-called right wing, against organized crime, cultural erasure, and systematic exploitation. The English patriots are rising. The Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh stands firm. And as Ganesh Utsav concludes, a new force begins its march, all in just 1 month of September 2025. This is Sneha Upadhyay, a law student from Diva Patil College of Law, interning with Crimeophobia. And now, it is time the world listens to what is happening in the United Kingdom and to what Crimeophobia has to say about this conflict.
How much money have you made from fixing Home Office applications for illegal migrants? Can you tell us? You said, "Have no fear, Irim Ali is here. I'll help anyone who is illegal without a valid visa or anyone who's overstayed their visa using human rights loopholes." You charge £1,500 for business sponsor licenses. Is that what's paid for your nice Mercedes with a private number plate? Is this Labour policy to do what you're doing? Have you got anything to say? Do you want the boats to stop?
They move quickly across the sand as the day breaks on a beach near Dunkirk. And although the police are present, they do nothing to stop this caravan of people. This is the first chance to cross for many of these migrants, and it will be the last leg of a journey that started months ago.
It's just after 5 in the morning, and you can see this group over here, about 50 people, now trying to get on board the boat. This process has been going on already for about 20-25 minutes. The boat has come from another area along the coast and has come here to pick them up. But here are the police. They're just watching all of this going on. They're not trying to stop them from getting aboard the boat. And this is now being played out over and over again, particularly on days like today when the conditions are very calm. And very soon, of course, this will be another small boat heading towards the UK.
The vessel is dangerously overloaded, floating haphazardly. A baby is yanked onto the boat as they yell out for more people to climb aboard. And although the dinghy is taking on water, which is scooped out with a shoe, the crossing continues as the police on the beach look on, unable or unwilling to intervene. I asked why they did nothing to stop this crossing.
It's for their safety. There are children there. We're not going to throw grenades at them. It's inhumane, but it's sad.
French police protocol and international law mean that once a vessel is afloat, especially with families on board, intervention becomes risky and legally complex. And more migrants are trying to cross to the UK every year. Fleeing war, persecution and economic collapse, they set up camp here. And it is in these places near the beach that they connect with smugglers and wait for a weather window. Ali Reza, who didn't want to be identified, told me he was fleeing persecution in Iran after he changed his religion to Christianity. His dream now is to get to the UK.
Because the Britannia good accept the refugee people and good behavioring for refugee people. But I think
So you think you'll get a good welcome?
Yes. Because many people Iranian when go to Britannia, they did very good behavior.
Not everybody managed to get aboard the crossing we witnessed. This is a service that is in high demand. So far this year, more than 15,000 people have made it across the Channel. And despite millions spent by the UK government to stop these journeys, this tide of human traffic shows no sign of slowing.
This is a very serious story, oddly predictable though. So 1 in every 100 asylum seekers currently in migrant hotels have been charged with a crime. Hundreds of them have been charged with crimes such as rape, robbery and GBH. The Sun newspaper monitored courts across the country for the first 6 months of the year, and they noted the defendants who gave their addresses as one of the 105 known asylum hotels. But it does get worse, I'm afraid, because the true number of crimes could actually be much higher. Why? Well, the Home Office refuses to reveal the locations of every single migrant hotel, so if you take this to its logical conclusion, there are more criminals, aren't there? But just yesterday, at least 5 asylum seekers who had been staying at hotels appeared in court on charges including sexual assault, assault by beating and theft. So 5 yesterday alone. A Libyan asylum seeker living at a Home Office hotel yesterday admitted threatening a member of staff with a knife. In fact, the Thistle City Hotel in Barbican, which is in central London, this was the one that was revealed actually by The Sun as well as being a hotbed of illegal Deliveroo and Uber Eats drivers.
Asylum seekers are being offered Deliveroo and Just Eat accounts within 10 minutes of asking for them, as thousands work illegally for the apps across the country. We went undercover to expose how easy it is for illegal immigrants who have just arrived in the UK to join the massive black market economy. And at hotels in London and Bournemouth, we witnessed dozens of migrants in the full uniforms of Deliveroo and Just Eat, coming and going at all hours of the day.
32 men from that hotel have been up in court for offences including assault of an emergency worker and theft from a shop. When we see things like this, now this was yesterday I think or the day before, and it's around the Calais area, so the French, for all the talk, have decided to just give them life jackets, and then actually when we pick them up in the Channel, the French asked for life jackets back so that they can give it to more, which is bonkers, isn't it? But anyway, well done with the old negotiations there, Sir Kid. But I'm not saying that any of them specifically are criminals. Of course, we don't know, do we? However, just based on these numbers, statistically speaking, if you got another boatload of them, so 2 boats that size, at least one of them is going to end up in court. And how many of them have we got coming over each day? So how should the government react to these figures?
In this example, an English lady and her 2 children were told to leave, and then the landlord, the person who owns the house, gets refugees in and more money. So English person is left with no house, and then we have
children.
2 children, yeah.
No house.
No.
Why?
Because she lived in your house, and the landlord kicked them out. So you and others could live.
Here we go, guys. The time is 1:33, the 1st of August.
Ready to get very angry because asylum seekers are getting free prescriptions, free eye tests, discounted glasses, free dental, free wigs, even free travel, free wigs, even free travel to and from their appointments. Well, it's not free, is it? Because we're all paying. We are all paying. You're paying. Now, if you're on a low income, you can get a free NHS pass, which helps you out with stuff like that. But 59% of those passes in the last 5 years have gone to asylum seekers. That's nearly 1 million. It's nearly 1 million. And get this, another 317,000 have gone to people who were here legally as well, which is remarkable. Now, I'm not sure why they need it. It does seem as though they've got doctors and nurses in a lot of their migrant hotels anyway.
There were concerns too about adding pressures on local GP services.
And they come in the country and get what I want, to see a doctor.
And you might remember a little while ago, GB News went to have a look around the Bibby Stockholm. Do you remember that? Those heady days of the Bibby Stockholm barge. And there was a doctor's unit on there as well, in the barge. Now, an illegal migrant is able to claim for all of that free stuff I said the second they land in Britain. So from the moment, they don't even have to be approved, they don't even have to have already started to seek asylum, they don't have to do anything, they just get it straight away. Which means that all of these lads, and I stand before you today, currently stood in the middle of an illegal migrant warehouse full of young Sudanese brents. You will see an overhanging warehouse full of more Sudanese men. All of these people are on their way to Britain. They're about to come to Britain. Some of them will probably be here already, and they're going to get everything for free on the NHS. Anyone with one of these free passes can get free stuff for their relatives as well. So there's that. And kids, people who are under 18. It's remarkable, all this, isn't it? Can you get an NHS appointment that easily? Is your dentist taking on new customers? Do you get free glasses if you need free glasses? If you need glasses, no, you don't, do you? Does someone come and pick you up and take you to your appointment? No. Well, even if you could get an appointment, you'd probably turn up to the waiting room and you'd see a load of strapping young men from Eritrea in the queue in front of you. So there you go.
I do not believe that Muhammad was a prophet sent by God. I do not accept the instructions he said he received from the Archangel Gabriel. I do not accept that the sunnah, or body of Islamic laws, has any relevance to me. I respect the religious beliefs of others, but I do not mind if Muhammad is satirized, criticized, or mocked. I'm not a Muslim, and I choose not to live by the moral codes set out by Islam. I'm a Christian, and public conversation about Islam has been limited through a mixture of self-censorship and more official restrictions, such as the definition of Islamophobia accepted by many public bodies. These restrictions are motivated not by a desire to avoid offence, consider the criticism and mockery made of other religions, but fear of a violent response by those who are offended. Some say public order offences are not the same as a blasphemy law, and that it can be legitimate to prosecute somebody for saying something that might cause wider disorder. Perhaps in some circumstances, this may be so. But we should interrogate this line of thinking. First, the Crown Prosecution Service gave the game away by charging one man with causing distress to the religious institution of Islam, which is pretty much the dictionary definition of blasphemy. But second, twisting the law to make a protester responsible for the violent reaction of those who will not tolerate the opinions of others is wrong. It destroys our freedom of speech. Some argue that while this may be regrettable, it's now an unavoidable consequence of the multicultural society in which we live today. By this logic, the state must police the boundaries between different ethnic and religious groups to avoid disorder. But we should be clear that this means state intrusion and a loss of liberty on some occasions, and mob rule on others. This is the very essence of the two-tier policing row we have seen recently. Rough justice for those belonging to identity groups that play by the rules, and freedom from justice for those belonging to groups willing to take to the streets and threaten violence. This is the logic of using the Public Order Act to prohibit us from saying what we like about a religion. A person may be found guilty because of the violent reaction of those offended by their actions. From Sir Salman Rushdie to the Batley teacher still in hiding with his family, the threat of violence is what lies behind these new blasphemy laws. Perhaps we should not be surprised. There are at least 14 Muslim-majority countries where the penalty for blasphemy or apostasy is death, and we have significant diaspora populations from many of them. With the number of people here who came from these countries growing, and the increasing assertiveness of organised political Islam in Britain, this is a problem that seems likely to only get more severe. But the answer is not to surrender to the mob. It is to hold the line.
Send these bastards back to Pakistan. We'll give them a bit of Pakistani justice, which I tell you what, will be much firmer than anything they get in British justice. And he said, you know, Ben, we've got a treaty with the British government, the Pakistan Prisoner Transfer Treaty, which enables the British government to deport to Pakistan all Pakistanis who've broken the law in the United Kingdom. That treaty was put in place in 2018. It's never once been invoked, because the European Convention of Human Rights trumps all. And what he said to me is, the problem with you lot in England is that you protect the criminals, you don't protect victims. You've forgotten who's been damaged in the criminal act.
The Middle East has been smart enough to allow all Islamic fanatics to move to EU and American countries who claim they know Islam more than Muslims do. When we talk about migrant hotels in the UK today, we are not talking about immigration, we are talking about infiltration. This is not compassion, this is calculated strategy. A strategy we at Crimeophobia call Ballot Jihad. I am Rita Shahwan, founder of the Middle East Anti-Human Trafficking Research Center. Along with criminologist Snehil Dhall, founder of Crimeophobia, we have traced how these hotels have been transformed into political factories disguised as shelters as per our understanding of other countries. Across UK, hotels once filled with families, tourists, and business travelers are now occupied by illegal migrants, many from Middle East. And what do they receive? Privileges that ordinary British citizens can only dream of. Free hotels, free meals, free medical services, free phones, free laptop, even jobs without verification. This isn't survival, it's reward. A reward with a big tag. With the price tag, the British vote. The end game is clear. Normalize their stay, legalize their presence, convert them into voters, and once that happens, those votes will be mobilized to reshape EU's democracy from within. This is the machinery of Ballot Jihad. Let us not mistake hospitality for innocence. Migrant hotels are not innocent shelters. They are political weapons. They are Trojan horses parked in plain sight. And history tells us exactly where this leads. What starts as cultural accommodation ends as legal enforcement. Today it's halal meals and hotels, tomorrow it's demands for Sharia law and parliament. The ballot is their weapon, time is their strategy, and democracy itself is their battlefield. We've seen the karmic cycle play out before. In Mumbai, India, the Royal Palms Hotel was once the epicenter of human trafficking. Over 500 young girls from Jammu and Kashmir were trapped in its shadow. The official records swept, buried, lost in corruption, but Crimeophobia exposed the truth. Years later, that very hotel was reclaimed not by criminals but by CISF security forces. What was once a hub exploitation became a fortress of enforcement. That transformation was possible because someone intervened. But Britain cannot expect such miracles. Not every hotel will be seized by security forces. Instead, many will remain permanently contaminated. Ask yourself, would you take your family to a hotel once filled with illegal migrants? Would corporations risk their conferences in those spaces? No matter how fresh the paint or how clean the sheets, the walls, remember. Hidden bugs, tampered cameras, invisible network. The residue of crime lingers. These hotels become scars on Britain's hospitality industry. And that is the bigger danger. The UK, once the master of divide and rule, is now being divided from within. English citizens against outside, patriots against beneficiaries, secular law against religious law. This is not charity. This is colonization by invitation. We call it Sharia creep. It doesn't arrive overnight. It seeps in. Slowly, patiently, through ballot, not ballots. Through votes, not violence. Every free meal is a vote. Every free room is a seat in parliament. Every free phone is a silent contract with tomorrow's lawmakers. Ballot Jihad does not need guns. It needs only legislations, numbers, and time. And if EU sleeps through this, one day it will wake up to find its own democracy voted out of existence. The lessons of Royal Palms proves one thing: transformation is possible. Crime can be defeated, hotels can be reclaimed, but only with bold interventions, uncompromising truth, and the courage to act before it's late. So UK must decide: will it let it be its hotel become nurseries of a new political order, or will it be reclaim them as symbol of its sovereignty? Danger is not just who stays in these hotels today. The danger is what these hotels represent for tomorrow. They are not shelter, they are seeds for Ballot Jihad. And if EU does not uproot them now, tomorrow they will grow into a forest too vast to cut down. Whether the British Parliament is also seeking answers why only young men are not the only beneficiaries of this migration trade, and where are their women and children? We strongly believe that women and children are sold separately to sex and slave trafficking industry, and funds are raised for crossing the border accordingly. This is not migration, this is not compassion, this is not charity, this is Ballot Jihad, and its price is nothing less than EU's freedom.
After working with the Education Ministry of Indian government and having my personal ideology recognized as that of the right-wing activist for Hindutva interests in Bharat, I, Amol Andhade, strongly believe that the world should now return to Sanatan and Vedic education, which everyone once adopted to acquire knowledge but later forgot its importance. When I see English patriots marching against migrant hotels, I see the same fire and have witnessed the Hindus across India. But fire alone is not enough. It needs direction, discipline, and ideology. And that is where Britain is failing. Criminologist Snehil Dhall's research makes one thing absolutely clear. What English patriots are facing today is no different than what Hindus have faced for centuries in India and across the globe. The playbook is the same: divide, infiltrate, outbreed, and then dominate. The difference is the only in geography. India has already lived through this struggle. Hindus were targeted for centuries by invaders, colonizers, ideological jihadists. Today, English communities face the exact same assault wrapped in the cloak of migration and free welfare. The migrant hotels in Britain are not just a charity, they are breeding grounds of what Snehil Dhall rightly calls a ballot jihad. Votes in exchange for religion, welfare in exchange for submission, and the day comes when your every democracy is weaponized against you. This is why Britain today needs leaders like Modi ji and Yogi ji, leaders who do not apologize for protecting civilization, leaders who understand what Yogi Adityanath once said, "Batenge to katenge." If you divide, you will be destroyed. Division is death, unity is survival. And look at the patterns. What Hindus know as love jihad is already here in Britain under the different name. Here it is called grooming gangs, rape gangs, the same strategy, the same victims. Underage girls targeted symmetrically, systematically, groomed, exploited, and then discarded. Whatever it is in Rotterdam or in remote corners of Uttar Pradesh, the story is chillingly identical. There is even a rate card: how much for a girl, how much for her silence. This isn't fantasy, this is fact. For years, Western media dismissed the warning of Hindus, saying RSS is extremist, saying films like Kashmir Files and Kerala Story or Bengal Files are propaganda movies. But now the West realizing they are not propaganda, they are realities. They are living documents of civilization under siege. The Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, RSS, understood that survival requires organization. It builds a disciplined force out of ordinary Hindus, men, women, and children, who were once broken by centuries of invasion. That is why Hindus still stand today. And Britain must choose Will English patriots remain scattered voices on the streets, or will they become an organized civilizational force like RSS, capable of resisting not just hotels full of migrants but the ideological onslaught of Ballot Jihad? If Britain does not rise now, it will collapse the same way ancient Hindu kingdoms collapse, one by one, divided, infiltrated, and consumed. And in the history books of tomorrow, the English will not be remembered as rulers of the seas, but as the people who surrendered their island without a fight. The truth is simple. Grooming gangs are love jihad. Ballot jihad is colonization by votes. Migrant hotels are silent battlegrounds. And unless English patriots learn from the Sanatani struggle, Britain will wake up one day to find itself erased. Civilization can be saved. Sanatan shows the way. RSS shows the way. Modi and Yogi shows the way. The question is, does Britain have the courage to follow?
We're told to stay quiet, to look the other way. But this is our home, our families. It's not about politics. It's about protecting what matters. Safety, order, culture.
I'm just on my way to the job centre, right? And I just wanted to say a quick thank you to everyone who pays their taxes. Because without you, I wouldn't be where I am today. Like, the fact that I can still go out about my day and still do my things and get paid for not doing absolutely anything because of others who are working and paying their taxes. I don't think I've ever said thank you. So, genuinely speaking from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much and keep up the good work.
Find that very racist and I think I'll pull these down.
She thinks the flags aren't inclusive.
Why have we got flags up?
I'm proud of my country.
This is very offensive, I find. People next door, they've come from other lands.
Well, if they find it offensive, they can go back to their own country.
Really? Is that the attitude you're taking?
Yeah.
Hello, global citizens. Greetings from my country, India. I'm Dr. Kishore Navandar here, Chairman and Managing Director of Blue Billion Group, which has 25 years of experience in hospitality sector in India and in law jurisprudence in Great Britain, along with expertise as a certified happiness coach from United States of America. I believe my opinion is substantially backed by logic, experience, and I hope to resolve the situation through arbitration proceeding for the concerned governments with Crimeophobia, where I have served as Board of Advisors for Global Diplomatic Affairs headed by Criminologist Snehil Dhall. I am putting across my thoughts along with suggestions now. The Migrant Hotels, karmic cycle of divide and rule. History often repeats itself, sometimes in the most ironic of ways. What once began as a colonial experiment in divide and rule seems to have back in a modern day avatar, this time through hotels and inside so-called Great Britain, which isn't great anymore as per the English communities. These establishments, once meant for leisure and luxury, have quietly transformed into staging grounds for crime, controversy and state intervention. From Mumbai's Royal Palm Hotels in Aarey to United Kingdom's so-called Migrant Hotels, the karmic cycle of exploitation and reputational collapse tells a story that goes beyond hospitality. Royal Palm, from trafficking den to security quarters. In Mumbai's Aarey, the Royal Palms Hotel was once whispered about the hushed tones. Crimephobia's detailed report exposed as alleged role in human and sex trafficking. More than 500 girls from Jammu and Kashmir were said to have been drawn into dark corridors. Their reports conveniently lost in the bureaucratic maze as reported by the Times of India's article. It was not just a hotel, it became a symbol of systematic failure and a silent suffering of young women whose stories disappeared without trace. Yes, the karmic will turn. The same Royal Palms Hotel, once tainted by exploitation, is now home to officials of the Central Industrial Security Force, CISF. Whether this revival of space has cleansed its reputation is debatable, but the transformation stands as the silent yet powerful impact of Crimephobia's interventions. Success does not always arrive with banners and applause. Sometimes it comes through a quiet reclamation. The UK's migrant hotels, from haven to headline. Fast forward to present day Britain, where the hospitality industry is embroiled on its own crisis. Across the UK, mid-range luxury hotels have been required to house asylum seekers and undocumented illegal migrants. English patriots brand these spaces migrant hotels, accusing residents of being rapists, thieves, racists, criminals and potential terrorists. The debate is very Farsi. Are these hotels symbol of humanitarian responsibility, or have they become incubators for lawlessness? Ironically, the scenario mirrors the Bollywood storyline of Shah Rukh Khan's 2023 film Donkey, where illegal migration was painted as a struggle of survival. But in 2025, the reality looks less cinematic. Today's donkeys are granted 5-star treatment, free hotel stays, food, medical facilities, phones, laptops, and even employment. What was once hardship-ridden dream is now perceived as a state-sponsored lifestyle. It is no wonder that public sentiment is boiling over. How can the British hotel industry salvage from its own stigma? Once a hotel gains dishonor for housing hardcore criminals, the stain is too harsh to wash off. Deportation policies may eventually empty the rooms, but the reputation linger like shadows. Unlike Mumbai's Royal Palms, not every hotel will be fortunate enough to have security forces take over and sanitize its past over a report submitted by Crimeophobia. For hoteliers, this is merely a business crisis. It is a reputational war. Guests will think twice before booking a stay in hotel once linked to migrants accused of crimes. Families on vacation may ask, will we feel safe there? Corporates may avoid conferences in space where surveillance cameras could have been tampered with, or where whispers of past crimes still echo in the hallways. Beyond sanitation, purging invisible residue, cleaning the sheets and repairing the walls is not enough. The real challenge lies in removing invisible systems, compromised surveillance systems, hidden camera bugs, potential infiltration of organized networks. Can hotel truly guarantee safety after being occupied by individuals with unknown histories, affiliation, or intentions? This is not just a matter of housekeeping, but of trust, technology, and transparency. The karmic cycle of divide and rule. The migrant hotel phenomenon is not accidental. It carries a legacy of colonial strategies. Divide and rule was once used to control population through engineered mistrust. Today, migrant hotels divide communities between us and them, locals and outsiders, citizen and migrants. The karmic irony is clear. The very societies that exported imperialist policies are now extracting their modern versions. Royal Palms in Mumbai shows that the redemption is possible, but it comes at a cost and with careful intervention. Britain's migrant hotels stands as a crossroad. They can either continue to be symbol of chaos and criminality, or with decisive action be reclaimed as safe, dignified spaces. Will the cycle break? The karmic cycle of hotels used as an instrument of exploitation and statecraft is a global story now. From India to the UK, the lesson is the same. When hotels becomes more than just a place of rest, they inherit the reputation of lives they shelter. Crimephobia's intervention, headed by Criminologist Snehil Dhall in Royal Palms, demonstrate that transformation is possible even if the government is in no mood to prosecute the hotel owners and its associates, but it requires accountability, enforcement, and the willingness of comfort uncomfortable truth. The real question for the UK is not whether migrants will eventually be deported. The question is whether its hotel industry can survive the reputational scars of being branded as a homes for criminals, perhaps the luxury hotel jails of Great Britain. Only time will reveal whether these spaces can rise again or whether they will forever remain symbols of karmic cycle that refuse to break.
This is the alleyway the children have to go to come to school from Epping. It's dark and it's unmanned. The school wrote to us in June saying, be patient, be careful, your girls are being approached in the high street, please be vigilant. Within a month, the girl was sexually assaulted. I told my daughter the girl was sexually assaulted and she said, I bet it was either in the alleyway or outside Domino's because that's where they sit. And I said, you're right, it was outside Domino's in the bloody high street. Our kids are back at school on Tuesday and they're going down that alleyway.
We're going down now.
Who's going to look after them?
Exactly.
Where are you?
Welcome,
Police, what you got to say about that?
Come on, Casey, you got something to say.
Where's your fucking opinion on it? Not one of you has got a fucking opinion. You're disgusting, mate. And you got kids yourself.
Fuck BBC here. British Brainwash Corporation. No, don't.
BBC, not welcome here.
You're not welcome here. Not welcome here. BBC, 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 not welcome here. BBC's not welcome here. BBC's not welcome here. BBC's not welcome here. BBC's not welcome here. Go on! Fuck off!
BBC, not welcome here.
We just fucked off the BBC.
Good job.
This is a manual on how to break into Britain, isn't it? I'd just like to have a quick chat with people about what's going on here, really.
We're not really willing to chat just now.
Okay.
Thanks.
That's all right. What group do you work for, out of interest?
We're just not going to speak at the moment.
That's interesting.
Okay, thank you.
It's just that from some of my viewers' perspective, what they might think is that there's a warehouse full of men who are about to break into Britain here, and that
We have
you
a job to do, so we're just going to go just now.
What is the job?
We don't really want to share that with you,
Right.
but thank you for asking.
Okay.
But we're going to go.
Yeah.
Have a nice rest of your
It's
day.
just like a lot of people might be a bit annoyed about this, you know, and that you're helping them.
I'm sure they will do that.
The people in those vans there didn't really want to talk to us, but they obviously working for someone, and then we noticed this. Have a look at this, right? So, they've handily done some of it in English. That is, by the way, the language spoken in Ethiopia. We've got Arabic writing, all of that. Now, look at this. Crossing to the UK in a truck can be very dangerous. This information can save your life. How to send your GPS location when you call for help. They've even got advice on, watch out for a refrigerated truck. Getting on or off a moving truck is very dangerous. If you fall badly, get away from the road. And you can call the emergency number. There's also a bit on, if your boat starts to get pushed back, here's what you can do. This is a manual on how to break into Britain, isn't it? And it's just stuck here on the side of a water container. And look at them, look at them. I'm not surprised they're driving off. They've been caught out, haven't they?